Hello, hello. Hello to everybody. Wow, that's bright. It is bright in here. I gotta figure out what that's all about. I've got my camera. There we go. That's fine. Took care of that. Oh, that's what I'm picking up the hallway. There we go. I got the hallway. I'm not usually on a Monday. I usually wait for Tuesday, but I'm working on my quilt today. And tomorrow and until it's done and stuff and more stuff. Hi, Bohemian girl. I am good. I am piecing together. My quilt today. I'm moving all my shit all over the place. My roll of Kleenex has to go somewhere handy. I have to keep a roll of Kleenex handy because I always say, oh, it's allergy season for me, but it's allergy season for me all year round. And batting is dusty. That batting is dusty to work with. So people have been wanting to see how to piece this together and and turn these little squares, which I was doing on my last one. Yeah, it's never not allergy season for me. It's just a matter of how irritating is it, right? I'm not allergic to much though. I have teeny allergies to a relatively large list of things, but there's not one thing that I'm allergic enough to be concerned. I suppose dogs. Not because I'm like hideously allergic to dogs or anything like that, but because when Bruno likes to cuddle, he likes to get right up in my face. But I just like yawn a lot and get a little sneezy. I don't like break out. I don't have huge issues, just enough to be perpetually annoyed is where I'm at. So I got two done over there that are already together. I got two done over there that are already together. So we're just going to piece, and I've got two more over here. Got two more over here that are just waiting to be added. Two more there that are waiting to be added. So that's fine. And I'm gonna make one more. I'm gonna make one more strip. My glove on. I'm gonna do a strip. You can do these in any order you want. Basically, what you need to decide, like, and let me start from the beginning. Okay, so you take your single piece, right? When we already did that, where you have this is going to be facing, this is the top. Yeah, pet hair is super ticklish. I'm ever so mildly allergic. It's not really that big of a deal. It's just that I'm also mildly allergic to, just ever so tiny, mildly allergic to dust. When I had an allergy test done, this was years and years ago. I have no idea where I'm at right now. I had an allergy test done and they tested me for 12 things. I reacted to 11 of them, but the allergist told me just one or two. It'd be like, yeah, ignore it and get on with your day. So it's that annoyance that just never wants to go away. So each patch is, just to recap, this is the top, right? So this is the piece that's going to be on top. This is part of the front. This is my batting, and this is the back. This is the quilt back. So we do the quilt. So there's this quilt that you go technique. You do your quilt back in sections. This actually works out really well because if you're doing a proper quilt, you have to go in and buy what's called a wide back to get either you've got to sew two pieces together or you've got to do a wide back to get a piece that's going to be big enough for your entire back. You can just do this out of any fabric and they don't have to, these are all identical, but they don't have to be. That the dog quilt that I showed you guys was today is an and ah day. The dog quilt that I showed you guys, I had the fronts and I had the fronts like this. They're all different, right? I had all the fronts done, but all the backs were also different. So it was just like this kaleidoscope thing. It's awesome. I want to do another one like that, but I had this that I used it up. Anyway, so how you organize and arrange your fabric. What we did that's not on camera is once I got enough of these for the quilt done, we took this, we actually used the big bed just so we could really see what we were doing. Laid them all out because they are random. There's no pattern to this. So we laid them all out, made sure that they didn't look, made sure that they were relatively decently spaced out, stuff like that. And then I picked everything up in order. So this is actually the left-hand side. So in order, it's going to go this one, then this one, then this one. And as long as I remember to keep everything in order, then it's going to lay back out exactly the same way as I laid it out for testing. Looking forward to see so I can better understand quilt as you go. Yeah, this is actually really easy. I did it right quick. I got to get that out of the way. I did it right quick. I got to get that out of the way. That can go there. I did it right quick when I was doing the tote bag, but it's just more the same thing but bigger. So what you're deciding on, what I had to decide on, am I going to go by row from top to bottom, or am I going to go by column? I mean, by row from left to right, or by column from top to bottom? Because, like you can see with this fabric, I'm just going to over-explain the shit out of it first, and then we can just settle into chatting while we work. This is one direction only, right? Now this one goes in multi directions. It won't matter, right? But because some of these fabrics are single direction fabrics, where you can't screw around with direction, right? So if I'm going by column, then if I'm going top to bottom, then I have to make sure I connect them like this, in this direction, right? Top, bottom, next. I'm doing these in rows, so I'm going this way. If the technique is making sense, but the lining it all up is like, it's too much to track, because it can be. Never tell yourself that you're sucking at something just because somebody else is a little bit further. Single directional fabrics like this can, you put one in upside down and now suddenly you're convinced that you've wrecked your entire project, right? If you're at that stage where it's too much to track, just make sure all of your fabrics are multi-directional or patterns where direction doesn't matter. Anyway, so I'm just going to get, this is exactly like I said. I get my center done, and then I leave this so that I can store it and not worry about fraying. So we're just going to put that up there. I'm going left to right. Let's get this one done. So I'm trimming everything to 1 inch. I kind of wait. Oh, well, I got a bunch of stuff done yesterday. Then I thought I'd wait for you guys because there's a couple of becauses. It's not anything that matters. But as you start adding, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to do one strip of fabric, right? And then I'm going to attach it to that. And I'm going from top to bottom. This is actually 1, 2, 3, 4. This is actually number 5. This is actually strip number 5. Strip 3 and 4 are already done over there. But I realized that if I added everything in, if I added 3 and 4, and then added this one, because the bigger it gets, the more shit you're going to have over on your left-hand side, which is obviously where the camera, the microphone, and the computer is. So we're going to do this one to get it done. And then I will backtrack to a different one to show you how to attach it all together. So this part's super simple. So you can have these all trimmed up as you go. I got to check something because I can see here that the batting is like spongy. Hi, Gail. Well, thanks for catching up, Gail. Don't worry. All I'm doing right now is I'm going to make my strips. So I should have drawn it out. What I'm also doing right now is I'm checking my thing. Something shifted here, right? So I've got quite a bit of batting that's sticking out on this side. So I'm just double checking my measurement, which I lied about my measurements, by the way. I didn't lie in any way that matters, because as long as you stay consistent, you're good to go. This is actually a 9.5 inch ruler. So these are 9.5 inch squares. So if you notice that something is shifted, you can just put your ruler back on top. I need to measure this from the edge of the batting to keep it correct. And there's a couple of different ways, which I'll show you guys when we're working on a different project. There's a couple of different ways to adjust. There's a couple of different ways to swing back and make these like perfect. I'm not working towards perfect right now, because this is very much a boho. It's not FAFO. I know what I'm doing. It's very much boho. So this is my first piece here, right? Because I'm doing them basically, whatever, however you organize this for you. This is what I'm doing. This is what works for me. I'm starting with my left-hand side. So everything else that I'm taking off now goes to the right, right? So I'll just set that one. I'll set that one over here. I'll tell you right now, I work out a system. Not I work out, but whatever. I will do the exact same motion for every single thing, so that way I'm not fucking it up. So I'm just trimming these down to 1. You can trim. You can trim. Yes, this is attached to the back already. So I've taken the oh, here's a dark one. I'll show you against the dark one. So I've got my fabric. This fabric here is cut to shape. This is already 9.5 inches attached to a 9.5 piece of batting. It's already been quilted. This has been quilted down to this. This is the backing. Okay. So this is what it looks like that you're starting with. However much this is going to get folded forward as a frame. So however wide you want that to be, I want mine to have ½ inch. This is an inch here, right? So that's going to fold in half. That's going to fold in half. I want this to have a ½ inch all the way around. So I'm cutting these to an inch. Whatever you want these cut to, whatever you want this to be, make sure it's double. So I want a ½ inch frame around each square. And I'm going to start attaching. I'm going to basically, I store them with, I make sure that these are a little bit bigger because I can store them. Because if something comes up, I have to pick all this stuff up, find somewhere to put it away. And I've come back to a project. That I've pre-trimmed and had to put it away for a while, come back like a month, even just a few days, depending on how much you've had to manhandle it, right? And found so much fraying that I've lost like almost a quarter of an inch. So I now do the final. This is just squaring it up. I know that's what they call it. When they're talking about squaring it up, they're talking about sorting out your final size, making sure everything's where it needs to be. Well, I guess that's not the only thing that squaring it up references, but this is one of the things that they're referring to. Okay. So this is pretty simple. That goes over here. This is on the right. Whichever piece I am, and like I said, so whatever system works for you, because depending on what you're making, what kind of space you have, whether or not you have help, this matters. And you can get in here. Okay, so this is row 1, 2. This is row 5, piece 1, right? So I can come in here and go 5, row 5, number 1. You can write, this is what these friction pens are great for. I love a fold over binding, such a soft finish to the block. Yeah. So you can mark these with a pen so that you can just go, oh, this one, and put them together like a numbered puzzle piece. Whatever system works fine for you. But what you have to keep track of is, because I'm going left to right, I have to make sure that that's facing the correct direction. If I were going top to bottom, then I'd be like this. And again, this is if you're working with directional fabric. I have to make sure that there's only 7 here, so I take 7 at a time, right? Anyway, this is really simple. This is how these are going to look. These are literally going to go together this way, and that's going to fold over to be the frame. So I just flip them. I line up that now. if you are working on, if you want this to be as perfect as possible, and for your first couple of projects, this might matter to you. If you want this to be as perfect as possible, there they are. If you want this to be as perfect as possible, then you may want to come in and just put a pin right through the point on that side, line it up right through the point on that side, and then pin it down. And then come over here, line up the corners perfectly. Things shift if these are not. Let me get back over on this side. I'm too busy talking. So if I line up that corner perfectly, and I line up this corner perfectly, and again, get my pin in there, make sure that it's coming through properly. I don't pin very often, so I'm actually kind of awkward about pinning these things. Like that. I gotta get my thing off. So line up these two properly, and you're gonna feel it. Okay, you're gonna feel it. You've got a layer of fabric, a layer of batting, and then a layer of fabric, a layer of batting. Once you get that corner lined up, you're going to be able to feel it. Okay, so just go all the way through, pin that in place, right? And then, depending on how big this is, and again, you'll feel it. You will feel this one at the top. You will feel this one at the bottom. Make sure they're matching each other. Go through. There you go. Stab yourself with the pin a couple times. That's always fun. You can also use clips. Clips just hold it from the outside edge, right? You can use anything that works for you. Anything. What you can also use is these guys. These guys will work. Just safety pin them in place. You do not have to commit to stabbing yourself. I am doing it fast and furious and super lazy, but line up the corner, pin it, line up the corner, pin it, and then pin the rest, right? Make sure that these are at the edge. I am literally trying I'm doing my best. I'm still going to do my best, but I am literally intentionally going for a slightly rustic look. So I'm still putting a good effort into it. Now I've got to do this though. Yeah. So if you lose and sometimes you get this, right? Which side am I supposed to sew again? These are lined up back to back. Which side am I supposed to sew again, right? So if that's the case, then yeah, either mark it with your friction pen, put a clip in, just put a little clip, just drop a little clip. By the time I say it and it's been, just drop a little clip right there. Okay, that's the side I'm supposed to sew. Okay, whatever works for you, whatever works to you to keep yourself on track with doing it the right direction, the right whatever is the right way to do it. Okay. And don't forget your quilting is already done. Whatever schmancy thing you've tried to do here, that's already done. You do it block by block by block. Each individual block is having its own thing. Right now, right this minute, all you're doing from here on in is straight stitching. You're not doing any other kind of stitch. I will say, like this one here, when you turn this machine off, it goes to 2.4 for the stitch length. I go down to 2. I make it a little bit tighter together. You should backstitch. You should backstitch at the beginning and the end. You'll see why in a minute, but take your time. Run your needle right at the edge of the batting. Time for some boob cam. Come on. I think I showed you guys this already. Run your needle right at the edge of the batting, all the way down. I don't know if you can see this or not. My hand is in the way. You see how the fabric is kind of moving around a bit? Don't let that worry you as long as the batting is staying in place. Things are going to shift. It's no big deal. If you end up sewing into the batting a little tiny bit, don't agonize over it. That's just part of the charm. Stop every now and again, check, make sure nothing's If I don't clip, have nested seams, or use my walking foot, the fabric always does a dance and moves around on the machine. It's not dirty dancing anymore. It's dirty quilting. Exactly. There are plenty of ways. I'm going to do I think I've got so much fabric over here. I think I'm going to do like a tote bag next. I'm going to do a tote bag next, concentrating on showing you guys how to, okay, rustic and boho is the thing that you're going to embrace, but I can also, I also do it with a lot more perfection. You do want to backstitch at each end. You also want to cut your thread before you try and yank it away from the machine. Just little things, Okay. First one done. And you're going to sewing machine, if it makes sense to you, do these one at a time, because as you start, if you do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 all the way out, then you're going to end up having to roll one end up in a ball to get it under your machine. Just do one at a time. I'm just going to finger press because, again, down and dirty and I'm lazy. We'll get back over here. So you just fold it in half, fold it over. There's going to be a pleat right here. I don't care. Do not care. Nobody will see it. Trust me, nobody will see it. Fold it into place. That's it. Again, you don't have to go crazy on your back stitching, but you're not reinforcing anything. You just want 1 or 2 quick little back stitches, because later you're going to come back. When you attach this piece here to the piece above it, you're going to be taking this and folding it over right where that is. So you don't want your stitches ripping. You don't want your stitches coming out here to make it awkward to fold it or awkward to sew it down. So do make sure, even if it's just 1 or 2 quick little stitches, it doesn't have to be perfect back stitching because it is going to get folded in. You just want to reinforce that very, very end so that when it's time to add it to the next strip, you're not going to have a problem. So anyway, how is everybody? The reason why I say get used to doing that, but look at this, only 9 inches is in here. This is what I'm saying, this is what I'm saying, do one at a time, and you'll see what I mean when it's time to connect them. If you were to do 5 or 6 or 7, then at some point these have to get folded in to make room. I'm not explaining it very well. I'm hoping you guys are knowing what I mean, but again, just fold it over, fold it in half. If you want to make it perfect and it really, really matters to you, then yes, go over there. So iron it flat, fold it under, iron it in place, double check your measurements. You can put, you can definitely put the time and the energy into one of these and get a perfect looking quilt. I just embrace those little bits of shifting and those little bits of stuff. But anyway. Just a little bit of loose thread. Tuck your loose thread. Not your loose threads, these threads, the fraying. Unless it's really bad, tuck your little bits of fraying under, because if you try to peel them off, there's always another one. Hi, Stevie. If you try and peel off your little bits of, if you try and remove these, there's always another one just underneath that wants to go with it, and then you'll just, and you can peel away a 1/2 inch of fabric. Doing that, just tuck it under. If it goes under, once it's sewn down, nobody will ever see it again. And unless there's a great big huge pile of bulk that's in the way, nobody's going to notice or care. Okay, back over here. So these 2 are done. I'm going to set that. I'm just going to set that over there. Get the next one out. And again, I'm working from left to right. So this one, once I trim that up, this one's going on the right, on the right, on the right, on the right, until I have a row of 7. Oh yeah, I keep forgetting that it's evening for, you know what? I forget this every time. It's evening for some people. It's 2 o'clock in the afternoon for me. Oh, it's almost 2:30. I've been babbling for half an hour now. Got fuck all done. This is actually, this is kind of fun. So this is all you're doing. You're just going to go don't know how to, I do know how to describe this. Basically, when you're sewing, when you're quilting loves straight lines. So you could do these, like I could do 4 and then connect 4 to 4 more to 4 more to 4 more, depending on what you're doing. You may have different sizes and shapes of things to add. This one is double check your direction. This one here is, this one is not multi-directional. This gets weird. This gets weird. I don't know if you guys can see this or not, but this one here goes that way, goes that way, goes that way, goes that way, goes that way. So most of it, there's a couple, there's one that's sideways there, one sideways, one upside down, but the bigger ones are all facing mostly in the same direction. Oh, wow. That is late. So when you're double checking your fabric, this does have multiple directions. That goes that way, and that's almost directly upside down, which is fine. But the bigger ones, these are all a little bit bigger. They're all basically facing the same direction. It's not the end of my world. I can do whatever I want. Not like this one. This one matters. You don't want that one upside down. This one you can decide late. This one can decide yourself. So it's going to look like this. Grab it, flip it. By the way, I always do it this way. I always do this first. Grab it. It's easier to put them together if the smallest. This is now this has got two together, right? This is now the largest piece, right? So I line it up, double check that it's going in the right direction. Obviously you can grab it and flip it any way you want, but I always find that it's easier if the smaller piece is the one on top. But I also start with it. I start with it the other direction so I can double check the orientation, double check that it's like, if I just drop this down, oh, blah, drop it down. What if I get distracted and flip it and I'm attaching that to that upside down, right? So grab it, flip it, whatever. And like I said, whatever works for you. But once you pick the orientation and direction that you want to be moving in, and because I did it down and dirty, some of these may not match. Some of these may be off a little bit in length. So if something is, then you want to pay attention to that. And then you want to put the camera over there. Laptop's way in the corner, but I can still read it, so don't worry. Hi, Blue. Oh, cool. I'm glad I'm helping somebody with something. So again, pin it, clip it, whatever makes sense to you, unless you are really embracing the El Rustico here. It doesn't need to be insane backstitching. It really doesn't. But you do want to backstitch at either end. Especially for this piece here. Especially this. This one here really needs to be done right, because this is the only thing holding these two together. Right? I'll show you in a second once I get this part done. As long as you trust yourself to do a relatively straight line, you can't really screw it up. Okay. Just gonna flip it. And again, see, look at this. Now, you can tuck this up and finish this from this side, and you got to tuck a bunch of it under, or you just 9 inches. This is a 9-inch piece. So anyway, this stitch line that I just put in, that's what holds the whole thing together. Okay, that's what's holding it all together. Now, something I forgot to point out. So these stitches down the side on either side. That's just holding that. That's just tacking down this loose stuff. That's tacking down this and making your frame, but it's not actually doing anything to hold the pieces together. Okay. So this, you could almost think of it as decorative, right? So this piece, this area going down the center is where it really matters. And by the way, when you're finished with this, and you're enjoying cuddling under your brand new, hi, Linda. Oh, there's not a lot to replay. I'm just basically like instructionaling my way through the first couple of blocks to let everybody know what I'm doing. One thing to keep in mind, And the reason why you want a tighter stitch going down, especially this center one here, it's the only thing holding things together. And as you may or may not be aware, sometimes you can, you might be able to see light through these. I'd leave them all the same. Just make sure that the center one is narrower. You want a narrower stitch length, because if you make your, I am using a Janome Skyline S6, but I will tell you right now that the dog quilt, which was about this size blocks, the dog quilt that I showed you guys the other day, I did that on a Singer Simple, a $100 machine. Anyway, so this needs to be tighter stitches. I put mine at 2. And if you're not confident, you can come back later. You can do it now or later. You can just go exactly down that center where the two go exactly down the center where these two meet. You're not going to see it very well because these are very similar. Put a zigzag stitch over top. Not a tight one, but you can literally come back and do a loose zigzag up and down, and that will help hold it together. If you are concerned or not confident, or if you, okay, let's see. Yeah, my thread, there's no, oh, that's off center. Yeah, my threader no longer works. I have to do it by hand now. I have a 2-hand process. I don't know if this makes sense to you guys, but when you get right down, yeah, you're not going to be able to see it. You're not going to be able to see it very well. When you get right down, come on, you can do it. When you get right down, let's get over here. When you get right down to the tip here of the thread, if you do it right, you guys can just barely see. No, you guys aren't going to be able to see it. Yeah, you can disguise them as reinforcing stitches if you decide that that's what you need to do. I've never done it. I've never bothered with the zigzag stitch. I need to thread this machine because I ended up pulling the thing out. You can live without a threader. Trim the end of your if you just trim the very end, you'll get a nice, easy to use, you'll get a nice clean thread end that will make threading your machine a lot easier. What I was trying to point out, and I'm not going to do a very good job of it, is when you get down to the end of the thread, what I do is I line it up and then I use my other finger. You're not going to be able to see it. Maybe else. This one, no, nothing. You're not going to be able to see it. If you're holding it just within an inch or so of the end, yeah, white on white, that's going to really show up. Yeah, if you hold it just to the very end like that, right? Then you can just use your finger to just wiggle it that little bit because it gets stiffer. The closer you can get to the end, the stiffer it gets. And then you can just kind of like that with your fingertip. I don't know how to I could show you and you would go, oh, that makes perfect sense. But I'm showing you from the advantage of a camera that won't quite get in there the way I want it to. I'm going to stop fucking around. I'm going to get the next couple done. So, come on, what's going on? What's going on? What happened here with my lighting? My lighting sucks all of a sudden. There we go. Anyway. So doesn't matter whether you do left or right first. You do not have to do super. You can do looser stitching down this side, but like I said, don't forget to back stitch it. You'll see in a minute. Yeah, putting on one piece at a time and you can do these upside down too. Like I could start from either direction as long as I'm making sure that I'm lining it up properly. And I will point out, if something's a little bit off, if something's a tiny bit off, then you may find, like, say for some reason my fabric has shifted, and so to make these line up, I've got a little pleat. Do the little pleat. Don't worry about it. Because don't forget, this is all nice and flat comparative to how puffy and bumpy this is going to look puffy and bumpy once it's had its first washing. So if this is a little off and I end up sewing in a little teeny tiny pleat, because if this piece is a little bit longer than this piece, then something's got to be tucked one direction or another. If there's a little mini pleat or a big pleat, my God, I have had some pretty big pleats in some of my stuff. Nobody will spot it. Once it's been washed, nobody will see it. Come on. Come on. Okay. So again, so the inside stitch, the first one that you're not going to see, that holds it together. This just pins this down. But I'm going to be coming back later and turning this under. So make sure you're going all the way to the end, but not perfectly to the end, but make sure that there is a small back, make sure that there's at least 1 or 2 back stitches here, especially on that. Yes, see, you can barely see it because I didn't go all the way to the end. You can barely see it. Where is it? Yeah, you can't really see it, but there's a little tiny V there because it doesn't go all the way to the very end. So the last thing you want is for that thread that's in this little teeny V up here to start unraveling, because then when it's time to do this, you could end up with and I've had that happen when it's time to do this step where you're folding it down. I've had the thread from the center unravel to the point where it's an open V at the 1/2 inch mark, and then you have to stop, sew it back down. It's a pain in the ass. Okay, let's get the rest of this done. I could have made life easier by having these pre-trimmed, but I decided not to. And yeah, there's a somebody. I saw a video, and using the zigzag. I'm saving my bigger pieces so I can have them as scrap for future projects. Somebody, and I forget whose video it was, but they have an entire thing where that's all they do is they do a weird quilt as you go that I didn't really like, but that's what they did. They zigzagged. They would zigzag one piece, the 2 pieces together to hold them that way. I didn't like the look though. That much zigzagging. I think I would only reinforce with a zigzag stitch. You could. And not a tight one, just a loose one, just to make sure that you've got an extra layer of stitches to make sure it's not going to go anywhere. There we go. By the way, every now and again, you're going to get distracted. I got distracted, right? And depending on how you line these up, like if I've got this one lined up very well, but it's actually like a little bit, sometimes you can do 1, 2, 3, and the 4th one looks at a glance good enough, and you don't realize that it's not quite it's not narrow enough. So yeah, so basically see, so I got this one here. I've got this one here that I just did. I know which direction I'm going left to right. This is multi-directional. I don't have to care. Bring this up, line them up, and you can do it any way you want. This is just what works for me. Because if I lose track, and I've lost track where I've done 3 or 4 like this, right? Lose track for whatever reason because I'm being careless, I'm being lazy, I have to move things around, and suddenly I'm sewing onto this end, which is not the end of it's not the end of the world on a junk quilt like this. But I took the time to line up all my fabrics, so I'm not going to have this. I've got like, I think I've got 3 of these. I don't want to accidentally shift everything around so that I've got all 3 of these touching each other or something. If you're literally working with stuff and you don't care, or you've got like one of everything and don't care, that's different. But in this case, I'm not making a pattern. I'm trying to avoid creating. My needle. Okay, now that my needle threader is not working. My needle threader got really, really impacted with dust. Not the end of the world. Not the end of the world. It's not the end of the world, but the batting creates a lot of dust. It gets everywhere. Just so you're aware of it. Flannel is not as bad, and if obviously you're using things like old t-shirts or whatever as your batting, then it's a little bit better. Still, polyester is not as bad for this. The polyester batting, that's not as bad. But if you're using the cotton, sometimes the batting are really dusty. This is a really dusty one. It got really compacted with dust back there. I'm going to try and fix it, but there's no point in fixing it until the quilt is done, because it's just going to fill back up. The whole area is just going to fill back up with dust, and I think that's what did it in the first place. A bunch of dust got into those little teeny parts, and a bunch of dust gets into those teeny parts, causes something to shift, and suddenly it's not working. Come on. Pretty sure I forgot the back stitch on the other end. It's not the end of your world if you forget the back stitch. It's really not. It's not the end of the world. That's why, because I'm pulling it backwards and just dragging the thread back out. Now that my threader isn't working, my thread wants to come off every stitch. It's not the end of the world if you forget the back stitch, but it's a lot easier. It's a lot easier, and if your thread if your thread unravels back far enough, you may have to come back in and repair it. And if this is all unraveled when you're moving on, you'll be seeing the next step in a few minutes. But if it's unraveled too much between now and the next step, it makes the next step just awkward to line things up. And you can fix that. There's lots of ways to fix it. Not the end of the world, but it's easier if you just remember to backstitch. Now you guys can't see this, but I've obviously when I've come down here, I've obviously sewn into the batting a little bit, and I can feel a tiny bit of a bump right there. Maybe I'll see if I can do it on purpose on the other side. I don't want to stop halfway through. Okay, let's see if I can. Okay. Yeah, I didn't sew into anything on this side, but I think I can explain it. So basically you're just coming back here. You're going to take this, fold it halfway, and every now and again, because you're sewing on. Okay, when I'm sewing this, I can see this side and I can't see that side. So every now and again, you're going to come through, and you're going to ever so slightly come off course, clip into the fabric in the batting, right? Thing is that you're going to have a 1/2 inch buffer that nobody's going to see. And because of the way the fabric is going to pucker up once it's been washed for the very first time, anything that's, unless it's really bad, which it never is, unless it's really bad, you can kind of sort of feel it when you're doing this. It's like, oh, I must have sewn into the batting a little bit on the back side. This was the back when I was putting it together. But once this is already naturally puffed up a little bit, I'm not pulling it. I'm not killing myself to pull this super flat and whatever. And once this is washed, you're not going to notice that. So as long as it's just slight, as long as it's minor, you're not going to notice, you're not going to care. It's not going to make a difference. Anyway, that's going to be where it's going to be hard to trying to get the camera in a good spot, because I moved the camera around too much. Oh, and we got a cord. I've got a better camera, but I've got a better camera, and I needed a cord, like a $10 cord. It's not like a major life-changing investment here. I've got it. My good camera that I use sometimes. It needed a quick cord. Oh, it just came off of my thread, came off of the little holder, so I just grabbed my tweezers and moved it. So I've got a cord that's going to let me hook up a better camera. Yeah, yeah. Like Gail said, it's very rare that anybody notices your imperfections unless you point them out. So unless it's really, really, really severe that it's keeping you from continuing with the work itself, then just ignore it. Just ignore it. I got one quilt that I made, and I kid you not, I had it was off by like a full half inch, and when I did it, I just folded it up, mashed over the entire thing, folded it the rest of the way up, continued sewing it, got it washed. If you don't know it's there, you can't find it. I showed it to Lisa. I said, "Is this as bad? You know, is this okay?" And she's like, "What do you mean?" And it was her blanket. Anyway, where we at? One, two, three, four. I can go a little bit faster. I can go a little bit faster when I am just there we go. I can go a little bit faster when it's just me cranking my tunes. Yeah, see, look, I've got two of these on the same thing, right? This is what I was talking about. I've got two of these on the same strip, which is fine. That's how it's supposed to be. But if I get distracted and just go, oh, blah, then they're going to be side by side, right? So that's why you want to pay attention. That's why you want to pay attention to your thing. And it depends on what you're doing. If you really don't care, then absolutely just make sure. I'm doing 7 wide by 8 long. So I'm going from top to bottom, 7, then add 7, then add 7, and I'm doing that 8 times. Lisa's quilt was easy, by the way, because it was a center panel. Lisa's quilt only has 9 of these pieces on it. So they were big and awkward to handle. But there wasn't that many of them. And when I did Lisa's quilt, I did these 1.5 inches, give myself more to work with so that I had more wiggle room in case things shifted because the pieces were so big. But yeah. Most of the mistakes that we make, and this is true for any crafting. Like Lisa just finished Lisa decided to pull out her knitting stuff and made a turtle, and I didn't. There was a mistake, and I didn't notice it until she told me about it. It's like, oh yeah, blah blah blah. It still looks cute, still super cute. I wonder if it's handy. I'm gonna go see if I can snag her thing. We'll keep going. I'm gonna step in here. See what the wife made? She made a little turtle. Isn't he cute? She made that over the weekend. She made that over the weekend. Oh, hey. She made that over the weekend, and he's super, super cute. She realized after it was done, though, that the head's a little angled to the one side. Are you referencing the one? Yeah, the Wonderland quilt. Yeah. Oh, Lisa picked all the fabrics for that. Lisa picked the fabrics for that. But yeah, that's only 9 pieces. That quilt only has 9 pieces in it. Anyway, I'm not going to manhandle her quilt. I'm not going to manhandle her turtle too much. I don't know if she's going to fix it or not. I'm pretty sure she can if she wants to, but I think she's decided she doesn't care. But okay, it's super cute. The head, basically, by the time you get everything sorted out, the head's off center. It can be fixed. I don't know if she cares enough to fix it. It looks cute just the way it is. And when the only reason why I'm like, there's the problem is like, because she told me, she had to tell me what was wrong with it. She goes, yeah, my head's a little off centered, but But yeah, that's the thing. So yeah, so her quilt only has 9 pieces. We had a different design in mind. We did. We had a different design in mind that was going to be more involved. But then we realized that we'd just been taking so much time not getting to it. And it's like, honey, I can do it this way. And she's like, yeah, just do it that way. So got it lined up. Find the top. Make sure that's lined up. Find the bottom. Make sure that's one. Okay. And again, I've got now don't forget, before I keep talking about I keep mentioning my knee lift in passing, right? My knee lift. Before I got my knee lift, I would be pinning these corners every time. But when it's only a 9-inch piece like this, I can hold the corners, use my knee lift, get everything in place, and go. It is like having an extra hand, but something else that can sometimes happen is the foot gets pushing, because this corner is not sewn down directly to the corner, so the foot gets pushing, and then you got to come back. Just lift your foot, make sure that that's tucked in properly. Go, go, go. Trust yourself. You do. It is a trust exercise to not be. Come back, double check. You will feel it. You will feel where the top, because it's so thick, right? You will feel where the top and the bottom meet to be able to be sure that you're still lining up your needle properly. And if you're really not sure, pin the shit out of it. And you can even take a friction marker or any marker and put a line down. There we go. That's done. And again, if you're concerned, so this piece here was facing up when I was sewing it. This piece here was facing down. I don't know if you guys are not going to see it. Right there, I sewed up over the batting. Or is it right there? I sewed up over the batting. I'm not even getting this. I can't even hold the freaking camera. I sewed up over the batting. It's like less than 1/8 of an inch. It's not a big deal. But if you're really, really, really paying attention, you might be able to feel it from the top. Bundle this up over here. When I'm not hanging out with you guys, this whole section is cleaned off. So yeah, it came up over the batting a tiny, tiny bit. Not the end of the world. Trust yourself that it has to be really bad before. It has to be like really bad, really misaligned, and really out of place before you're even at risk of needing to fix it, unless you're working on something that you really want everything to be lined up perfectly. And then you just have to make a judgment call. One person I saw doing a similar technique to this would sew these pieces together first and then lay this piece on top. I didn't like that because it was too many ways for this piece to move. Anyway. Sometimes you need something a little finer than your fingertip to tuck this into place. Pair of tweezers. This would be useful too, just the tip of that. Anything that works. Just tuck it in and give it a pull, and it'll usually, the fabric loves to just go where you put it. Anyway. Got a couple more to go. This part here is really easy. Depending on how much time. Oh, they prove. Yeah, they help you prove that their handcrafted works. I will tell you right now. I really need to find one. If you ever go looking for it, industrial sewing factories, stuff like that, like yes, there's parts of stuff that are handmade, but the same person is doing the exact same thing 4,000 times a day. It's going to start looking pretty perfect after a while. But if you look up how they make jeans, they literally take the fabric, put it on this jig, put it on this form, a pre-made form, and then shove it into a machine that just goes and does the perfect. So all the worker has to do is load this fabric onto a machine that does it for them. It's actually it depends on what's being made and where it's being made. But I was really surprised at what percentage was made by either somebody. So yeah, so basically either pull it straight down or pull it out and then back towards you. You'll thank me for that in a minute. This is there we go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 2 more to go. Woo. Yeah, the little anomalies, and I will tell you right now, like this is not perfectly straight. Let me see if I can get in here from a better angle. This is not perfectly straight. Look, it comes out just the tiniest bit. This I don't think you're going to see the stitching very well because it's gray on gray. Yeah, look at that. Look at that stitching traveling around a bit. It's okay. It's supposed to travel around a bit. If somebody in your world goes, you know what? Like, I mean, this is veering off by a 1/16 of an inch. It's like, fuck you. Give me back my blanket. just don't judge yourself. Don't judge yourself by a process that was done on a precision machine. Or, like I said, if my job, okay, my job is to make the bags, right? The little drawstring bags. Of course, my bags are gonna my bags have a level of skill that is almost as much practice as it is anything else, because I just do so many of them. Like when I'm doing my top stitching on a bag, it's like because I've done, what does my shop say? A little over or a little under 9,000. It's like, yeah, I know how to get that decorative stitching on there, and I know how to do it. I know how to do it quickly. I know how to keep it from traveling around too much. I will say that if you're going to take on a project like this, keep in mind that this is heavy, it's bulky, it's awkward. It will shift around. There's no way around it. It's just, not it will shift around. I'm saying it wrong. You ladies who quilt know exactly what I mean, though. As your piece gets bigger and bigger and bigger, especially once you start working with the batting and start adding weight to it, it's going to want to hang up. It's going to want you're going to have issues. That's not, I'm saying it so badly. You can expect that you're going to be sewing along, and then this is going to get heavy. As I get closer and closer to completing the blanket, it's going to get heavier and heavier. So I'll be sewing, and suddenly the fabric's not moving because I have to shift the weight of the fabric. So you're going to have to pay attention to all of these things and really, really go slow. Really, really pay attention. Stop and pin the crap out of something because it's doing a thing. I'm saying it badly. This is not difficult. This is not difficult. This is an expectation. I am not saying this right at all. My God, I'm making this sound so fucking impossible. As part of your learning curve, you will be learning. Like, look at this. This is not that heavy. It isn't. It's not that heavy yet. It's not that heavy yet. I've got this lined up. I've got that going there. I've got to bring all this over here. This is now laying across my laptop. This is, I'm trying to get my thing around here. So if this decides to get hung up on something because it's getting longer, it's getting more awkward, it's getting this and it's getting that. If this decides to get hung up on something, or I have to that shifted, I have to take out that stitch and put another stitch. This is not a you problem. It's not anything that you have done. Did I say it right that time? I don't think I did, but I hope I'm getting there. Like okay, I've got to the end. I've got to reshift, right? I should be shifting this along with it. It's little things. It's little things. It is part of the process. It gets easier. It gets easier. It gets easier. It gets easier. I'm just making this sound so doable. I'm thinking the best way to say it. These little itty bitty things, like the fabric hanging up on something or whatever, can be so demotivational. I just put this one upside down because I got distracted. I let myself get distracted. Yeah, these little anomalies and little things that we have to deal with can become very, very demotivational. And I'm doing a really shit job of explaining it. This stuff can become so demotivational that people just go, I'm not ever doing this shit again. Right? I got to get a thing here. And I'm not saying it very well. I'm sure as shit not saying it well at all. You will embrace. Your job is to embrace the idea of boho, rustic. Embrace the idea of boho and rustic. Embrace the idea that nothing has to be perfect. Embrace the idea that mistakes will be made and lessons will be learned, like this one right now. Now, I've got to get this out. My problem right this second is this is gray on gray. I might just leave this one upside down and say, fuck it. If I can't get the stitches started, I can sacrifice a little bit right there because I know it's getting folded down. What I'm trying to say badly is that this shit is very, very doable. This shit is very, very everythingable. Oh, fuck. Okay, this is the one problem about having the stitches closer together. And it's gray. Okay, here's my problem. It's gray thread, which is fine. The gray thread is almost exactly it's almost exactly the same shade as the gray here. As the gray that's right there. I can barely see it. And if I don't get a starting point, once I get a starting point, I can get the stitch ripper in there. Fuck it. Fuck it. I don't think I'm going to be able to get it. These colors are so close. These colors are so close together that I'm not going to be able to see it. I'm working to replace some of the language I used to adopt. Good enough as my motto, mantra, whatever. Is it functional? I like it. Good enough. Perfection is a lie. Yes. Yes. And yeah. And as you're doing stuff, you are going to make mistakes like I just did. Oh God. Yeah. I'm not even, I will be here literally for the next couple of hours. I'm not kidding. Like this is, check it out. Let me just get a little piece of, I've got pieces of the thread. Check this out. Check this out. This, there it is. Can you tell which one is the actual thread? That's the thread. This piece right here. That's the thread I'm using. That's the thread I'm using. And that's the fabric. This is such a perfect match. Look at that. You can't even see it. It just disappeared. I can't see it. It's staying. It's staying. Okay. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. The good news is this is kind of a stealth. So until you, the reason why I let myself get distracted, it was my own damn fault. Hi Michelle, this is the NSFW quilt. I just fucked this one up. I put this one upside down. Everything's going beautifully. I've already done 1, 2, 3, 4. This is my 5th row that I'm doing. I just put this one up. Oh, that's okay. This one's going to be near the bottom. This one's also going to be near the bottom of the quilt. 5th row, 5th row of 8. So I'm just piecing it all together right now. But I put this one in upside down, and the thread that I'm using. Yeah, here's another piece here. The thread that I'm using is such a perfect match to the back, because I have to get it out through the back. The thread that I'm using is such a perfect match from the back that I see little itty bitty bumps, but I can't actually differentiate between the thread and the fabric, which means I cannot remove this without cutting the shit out of everything. So I'm not going to do it. Just going to leave it. I was giving everybody a pep talk about how badly they're going to fuck up and how this is fine, but I'm doing that badly too. That's why how I distracted myself. It's like I'm making this sound so fucking bad. Okay, now let's face it. If this was a different project, if this was a different kind of project for a different kind of a purpose, I would probably stop and fix this. But yeah, I got talking, I got distracted, I threw this one in upside down. It's already a fuck it quilt, so yeah, I'm too skillful for my own good. Yeah, that's the thing. No, I'm just trying. I'm doing a very bad job of explaining that when you're working on larger projects like this, it's going to get heavy. It's going to get awkward. We have a 2-person system actually. Depending when I'm doing certain quilts, when I'm doing certain projects, once they start getting to a certain size and weight, Lisa sits. I got a love seat right there. Lisa will sit right there, and her job is to just simply keep my fabric from tangling up on things while I'm sewing. Buddy system is amazing for quilting. But if you walk into it, I don't know how to describe this. It's like if you walk into it with the expectation that it doesn't have to be perfect, it just has to be whatever, then your energy, your level of relaxation, it's all different. I've watched people super stress themselves to death over relatively simple projects because they get stuck in their own head about what it should be like. And this is what I was trying to address, and I'm doing it badly. I do all kinds of shit badly now. I have to make sure that this one goes the correct direction, right? So I just trim this one up. But you will make mistakes. You will fuck things up. That is just the way it goes. And what you're going to do about it is you're not going to stress about it. You're not going to stress about it. If I really wanted to stress about that, I can set this aside, wait till later. I've got extra fabric. I can just pop it. I can take my chances. I could have, there's a bunch of other things I could have done about this. And it's like, I don't want to stress about it. I do not want to stress about this shit. So I'm just going to leave it. And the good news is, because of where it's going to be located in the quilt, it's not necessarily going to be as noticeable as it could be otherwise. So I don't need to worry about it. But yeah, perfect is the enemy of the perfect is the enemy of the good. Exactly. That's kind of what I'm trying to say. Yeah. This will get heavy and it will get awkward and it will get more and more as it gets bigger. Not heavy and awkward. I don't know how to describe this. Basically, this is the last one. And this is number 1, 2, 3, 4. You know what? I double check all the time. I've got 2 done. I've got 3 and 4 ready to go. I just want to make sure that I keep them in order. there's no, okay, the order isn't the end of my world one way or the other. We laid this out. This is all random. We laid this out to make sure that nothing was piling up too much, that I didn't have like 6 of the same thing within like, too close together, blah, 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 but it's okay. See, now if I'd have just started sewing, I just noticed this now. This was back here. This was back here hung up on the corner of the table. I can just start sewing. I can just start sewing. And that's fine. But it's way back here. It gets hung up. The bigger it gets, the heavier it gets. It's not the end of the world. I want to see 4,000 people making these quilts. But yeah, it gets the longer, the more you go, the awkwarder it gets. That's just for the quilting. I mean, tote bags are fine. Tote bags are easy. My next project, I'm probably going to do a couple of tote bags. Anyway. Anyway, there we go. That one's done. That one's upside right. That one's upside right. That one's upside down. I'm just pointing at shit that you guys can't see. It's fine. It's fine. But yeah. Don't worry about perfect. Don't worry about perfectly straight lines. I should have just left it over here. Don't worry about perfectly straight lines. Don't worry about any of that shit. My lines certainly aren't perfectly straight. And I've done like, I should have been keeping score, but I did one. Okay, John, Kim, Steve, Lisa, me. How many is that? 2, 4, 5, 3 for Lisa, 2 for me. That's 5 right there. 1 for John, 1 for his girlfriend, 1 for Steve. That's 8. John got me to do 4 for Kim. Kim is his ex, but they were together for a long time. Got me to do 4 for her nieces and nephews. There's 12. I've done 2 bridged crosses, 13, 14. I did another one for John recently. That's 15. Hi, Moira. I've done at least 15 of these. Oh, I did the Bridges Cross giveaway, 16. And I did one before. I did a giveaway on one before a long time ago. Or I gave one. No, I didn't do a giveaway. I gave one to a friend a long time ago, 16. This is number 17. I've done 17 of these. And I still managed to fuck things up. It's fine. If the I think I would have taken the time to get this one, to fix this one, but I can't even distinguish. I can't distinguish between the back fabric and the Tricia, I cannot distinguish between the back fabric and the thread that I'm using. So it's like Anyway, these are easy, and this is, what size is this? Twin size? Twin size. Now I'm just going to keep talking myself into the same circle. I like to build people up, not say this is how you're going to fuck up. Okay, 1, it's done. I did a whole strip. So that's where we are right now. So we do the whole strip first, right? We do this whole piece first, end to end, and that's done. Okay, now Shayla's over there. My dogs are on the floor. Just floor dogs. So I'm going to put this one away. That's number 5. Which one's that? 3. Okay. 4, 5. See, I've got more. You can see in the inset. I got the camera in the wrong fucking direction, but that's okay. Okay. Whew. Okay. So I'm done with the cutter for now. What I will sometimes, oh, thanks. Dirty Pillow makes it to the Express card, Empress card. Oh my God, that'd be funny. Okay, so what I got going on here, I've already done two. This is the top row. This is the top row, and I'm working from top to bottom. No, I just did the two because, okay, this is what got me babbling on about how you're going to have, about things to look out for. This is, as this gets bigger, right now, right this minute, what I'm looking at right now, to do this, what I will eventually be doing, what I will eventually do is I will take this has a certain amount of grip for the fabric, not a big deal. As this gets bigger and bigger and bigger, I'll be piling more and more up here as I work. So I'll be taking this off and I won't be able to have my computer and stuff up there because of all the shit that's going to be piled up. As a matter of fact, I'm going to move my microphone over here. I'm going to move the microphone over here. I'm going to get that over there. I'm going to get the ruler out of the way. I'm not, okay. This is me working with my camera equipment. This is not part of the difficulty. Basically, I stopped at 2 so I could make sure that I could show you this. I stopped at 2 to make sure I could show you how this is going to go. That's 2, 1, 2, 3. Oh, they're 2. Oh yeah, they're close. That's fine. I stopped at 2 so I could make sure that I still had space to show you how this is going to go, because once I get this one on, by the time I put the next one on, it's going to be too wide and I'll have to make sure that my equipment's out of the way. So this is the exact same thing. So basically, row 1, row 2, this is how row 3 is going to look. So you just flip it, double check like I didn't do. Double check, make sure everything's the way you want it. Okay. Stand up, pin it, do whatever you need to do. And I'm going to flip everything over because this is the narrow one. It's always easiest. This is the wide, this is the wide piece. This is the narrow piece. It's always easiest for the narrow piece to be to be on top. It's always, because then you line everything up. Because you are gonna put most of this shit. This is why I'm wearing a tank top today. You're gonna be putting most of this shit in your lap. I don't know if I can do that. There we go. You're gonna be putting most of this stuff in your lap. But and then again, depending on what works for you. So I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna get this. If this does not work for you, lay it out on the floor, lay it out on a big table, lay it out wherever it works, and pin the shit out of it from top to bottom. Lord knows I've done that for more than one of these, right? This is at least quilt number 16 for me. This is not because I am so fucking over the top on skills. It's like over the top of, come on, I want you to go backwards. Backstitch for sure. Okay. Now, I don't know if I can. You want the line that separates these two. You want that center to match with the center that separates these two, right? Don't freak out if it's not perfect. Line it up as best you can. Double check. And again, oh, thanks, Bohemian Girl. Then and again, remember, oh, my nose, I gotta stop for a nose blow. Okay. So I just put the first few stitches in. I'm doing this as I go. I put the first few stitches in, and I'm only going to be messing with this a few inches at a time as I go down. Oh, don't worry, there's a garbage pail right there. Oh my God. Okay. Okay. What time is it? Now, under normal circumstances, I think I would like to think I'd be a little bit further ahead. So this is where lining this stuff up matters. If this is a little bit off, we don't care. But if it's off on this one, it's going to be off on the next one, off on the next one, off on the next one, all the way to the end. You could find yourself at the end. Hi, hi, Kathy. Tortoiseshell Moon is Kathy. Yeah. Oh, yeah. This is awesome. I don't know if you guys can see this one. Let's get in on this one here. It's hard to see. We didn't even spot it at first, but there's the horse there, and it's a unicorn, and it says, "I like pretty things," and the word "fuck." So some of them just say "fuck, fuck, fuck." Some of them. So you want to make sure that they can be off a little bit one way or the other, but make sure that it's not really bad. So I'm going to hold that. I'm going to put my fingers there. I'll do that. So if something is off a little bit, let it if it's going to put a little pleat in here. A pleat is where it like does a little fold over on itself. If it's going to do a little pleat, let it do it, because once everything is sewn down, nobody's ever going to see it. But if you're off by a little bit here, it will continue. Or it may not. If you're off by a little bit this way on this one, but off by a little bit this way on this one, they can cancel themselves out. Go over here. Sometimes, depending on how I'm feeling about life, and I'm just going to line these up. Depending on how I'm feeling about life, this section here where it's going over top of where everything's connected, I may go forward and I may backstitch over that section. It just reinforces what's going to be the corner. It reinforces those corners a little bit. It's entirely up to you. And like I said, one thing that you can do is just do it now or do it later, is zigzag over these seams if you're really, really not confident that the seam is going to hold. Or if you're not confident that it's going to hold, if you're not confident that you've done it right, if you're giving it to a friend, say you're making a quilt. Now, I've considered this a couple of times, but I've never done it. Say you're making a quilt and you want to give it to somebody, and you're going to be sending it halfway across you're going to be sending it to a relative that lives on the opposite coast. So if something goes wrong, you can't repair it for them. Then you may want to do not that super tight. What's that called? When you put a thing on top. Oh my God. Not a super tight zigzag, just enough of a zigzag to reinforce that stitch. I have considered it a couple times, but everybody that I know that I've given a quilt to so far lives close enough. The wife, my own quilt. It's like, if there's a problem, I can just fix it. Okay. I can still feel that these are lined up. They don't have to be perfect. They can shift a little bit. I'm going to backstitch right where the corner, where that middle seam is. Get everything. Line up the next one. I'm just getting in here, going by feel, let me see if I can get over here. This is really hard to see because of the backing that I've used, but I'm taking that line there because I can feel where these meet. Okay. So I'm just taking that one and lining up with that one. And then I just hold on to it, line everything up, hold on to it, pinch it any way you need to, right? And then I'm just checking to make sure that this one still lines up with the one underneath. Do, and off I go. So this is what I was talking about things getting all bunched up. Oh, you guys can't really see it, but see, things are starting to get bunched up and whatnot, right? Once things get bunched up enough, it can be a bit of a pain in the ass. Don't let those pain in the ass moments convince you. Don't take those pain. Do not take those pain in the ass moments as proof that you're the one who's doing something wrong, because you're not. So what else is everybody up to? I mean, this is my day for the rest of the day now until this is done. So just get everything lined up. Do your best. See, look at this. Oh, you're not going to be able. Yeah, you can see that. You can kind of see that from here. See how this one's a little bit higher than this one? So they weren't 100% lined up when I was sewing them. That's fine. Not the end of the world. Double check. Come down here and double check. Go, go, go. Line up the next one. If they shift a little, it's not. Oh, have a good dinner, Gail. Have a good dinner. I had lunch. I bought myself a treat. I got some quail eggs, so I hard boiled them. And now I have hard boiled quail eggs to munch on for the next little while. But yeah, so we're doing good. We're doing good. Yeah, this one's a little, that one's fine. This one's a little off, and I think I may end up with a little pleat in the back on this one, but we don't care. Make sure that that's lined up. Tug it around. Don't forget, you can tug these around and shift and do stuff. You can do quite a bit as long as this post is not, it can move a little bit, and make sure the needle's down. This post can move around a little bit, and that's fine. As long as it's not like yank, thunk, 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 you're not doing anything wrong. Unless you're using, apparently industrial machines, that doesn't move at all. So I don't know. If you're using an industrial machine, you probably got more skill than I will ever have. And this last one, I'm just lining up the corners with the corners. Do. Something else that you can do too is, like, I like to just take my whole hand and then just reach up here with that. That's my back stitch there. And just bring it back out. Okay, now for the best access, you're going to yank everything back here and flip it. You're going to flip everything over because the fuck happened? Oh my God, my bobbin ran out. I didn't even notice. This is just going to be a day of bad choices. This is the one thing. My bobbin ran out, and I did most of that sewing. There's got to be a way for these machines to work in such a way so that you can tell. My one machine used to have like a little warning, and it would not let me sew without a bobbin in. This machine is just like, yeah, fuck you. If you're too stupid to see it. 2 mistakes in a row. Anyway, it looks like I have to come all the way back to, where is it? There. Look at that right there. Well, back in the machine it goes. I'm just going to do it right from the that seam. That's a pisser, but oh well. Whew. Fortunately, the straight stitching I'm pretty fast at, so let's just get caught up. This is not the first time this has happened to me on camera. Oh, yeah, the Sassy Dragon. Yeah, Sassy Dragon Tarot is going to be a lot of fun. Night Blue, have a good one. Okay. So yeah, I'm a little, and I backstitched and didn't even notice it. I'll find some way to blame it on my wife. It's okay. It'll be fine. It'll be completely fine. Come on, come on, come on, come on, come on. Get that over there. There we go. There we go. Now it's done. So the good news about this is because you're doing it one piece at a time, you're not trying to stuff everything into this hole. So everything stays on that hole. It's nice and open. It's nice and everything. Vertigo, enjoy. Let me see. Where we go? Where we go? Come on. There, we're going to ignore the mess. My house is so fucking messy today. So, yeah, in this case, I just knocked over the microphone. But I'm going to flip. Oh, no, I'm not going to flip. Yes, I'm going to flip. I'm going to come back here. I'm going to pull everything back, right? Now, when I open this, when I open it, it's going to be upside down. So I'm just going to flip the whole thing, grab the bottom, bring it to the top, flip the whole thing. And now I've got, this is the section that I have to open up, right? And again, I'm still only going to have a 9-inch piece in here. If one of your biggest things that you hate about quilting or trying to quilt or working with bigger projects is the amount of shit that you have to juggle into this throat plate, then this is something for you to be exploring. So again, you could take it over and iron it all open and pin it down and do whatever works, which is fine. Doesn't matter which side you start on, just pick one. Get those first few stitches in the top, back stitch. Oh, I hit the wrong button. Come on. By the way, I don't know if you guys are aware of this or not. My machine does this. All of my machines have done this. Every now and again, you're sewing. You put your foot. You sew. You take your foot off. You take your foot off the gas, off the pedal, and it still sews for 1 or 2 extra stitches. And I don't know what the deal is on that, because sometimes this machine will just do it. Well, they all do it. Sometimes. Yep, that just finished. When I picked my hand up is when I took my foot off, and it just still kept going. See, it just did it now, where it just kind of like hung up for a second. I got a lot of weight in my lap, right? So this is the exact same thing that I just did, only now I'm doing the entire width. This is the exact same thing I did one at a time going down here. Now I'm just doing the entire thing as one go. Again, I'm gonna just backstitch. I'm gonna backstitch at the corners. It adds a little bit of reinforcing. I don't need to worry too much about it. Oh, and has everybody who wants a chance at the little mini tote bag put their name in yet? I should probably draw for that. in a few minutes. So we're just going to go all the way down to the end. The cool thing here too is, I don't know if you guys can see this or not. The cool thing here too is sometimes when you want to rearrange things and fiddle with your fabrics and whatnot, it can be really hard to figure out how to hold stuff. But for here, it's really easy. I just stick my hand under, and I've got two-hand access to every. I've got one finger against the other right now until I can grab a handful of fabric, pull it flat. You do have more control over your fabric. At least I think I do. Go straight down. There's a lot of layers. There's a lot of layers in this corner here. You're fine going in the first direction when you're coming back to do it from the length. You're going through a lot of layers here. So sometimes your machine is trying to go uphill. Or your machine is trying to go uphill when it's going through this section here. So you can find your machine hanging up a little bit, just stitching in place and not moving forward. So you may have to give it a little push, help it along, tug it from the back, whatever works. Not the end of the world. It's nothing you're doing wrong. That's the part that matters. Okay, and it gets really, this gets really fucking hot making these quilts too, so. Again, see, so I've already got like multiple layers in here, and now yeah, I feel like I have. And don't forget, I just did single squares. I didn't do anything fancy with each square, so that saves you a lot of time right there too. So again, see, I'm going uphill. See how is this hanging up in the same spot? I'll have to get behind, give it a little pinch. You don't have to yank on it like your life matters. You just got to give it a little pressure, just a little pressure, and it'll help it finish going uphill in that spot. That's what I was trying. You know what it was? I was trying to do my little don't worry when these things happen pep talk before I got to this point where the pep talk matters. But yeah, as it gets bigger, it will get a little more fussy. And it's supposed to. It's just the way it is. I won't be able to finish this. I might be able, I don't know. Yeah, I don't think I can finish this on camera because I'm going to need all of this space over here because as this gets bigger, it goes that way. And that's where my camera and computer and stuff are right now. Again, just tuck your frayed ends in. Unless they're really bad, then you want to clean them up a little bit. Yeah, between the weight in the front, going uphill, blah blah blah. It's normal. It's a normal part of how this goes. Don't be afraid to stop every few inches to rearrange things, double check things. Especially if you're doing like me and haven't taken the time to pin everything down and iron it. If I'd have taken the time to pin it and iron it, then the time, I don't save any time personally, but if you're not confident, then the time you take to pin it and iron it saves you time on this part because it's already in place. Yeah, I just like to get my hand underneath, little spot to press against as I'm moving things around. And again, this is beautiful because the next section goes on in this direction. So I'm never going to have a piece in here because of the design of this quilt. I'm never going to have a piece in this area that is bigger than what you're seeing right now. Anyway, back uphill we go again. You don't have to do a back stitch in that corner. That's just my preference. I will say though, I'm gonna do one other thing. Uh-oh, something's going on. This is the one thing, is that if something goes wrong underneath, you're not going to know it. So if something doesn't feel right, stop and check. Okay, it's fine. Okay. If something doesn't feel right, if it feels like it's getting hung up, if it feels like it's getting, if you think there's something going on underneath, stop, cut your thread, and start over, because yeah. You know that nesting thing that happens where you have those big loops underneath? Yeah, I've done a quilt where I've gone like pretty much an entire one of these and found out that it was doing that, and I just didn't know it. There we go. The first thing I do is go right off the edge. What did I do? There we go. I got myself distracted for a split second looking over there. Went off the edge. I went off the edge, so I just backed up, get on the edge, keep going. Nobody's going to see it. And if you're working with a project where somebody will see it, then you stop, you pick out the thread, then you start over from there. I don't know if it's me. My hands get like so dry that sometimes I start getting issues getting sometimes I start having difficulty pushing everything through properly because my hands get so dry. One glove is helpful, but sometimes I need both. Oh, look at that, going a lot better. Never underestimate how dry hands can fuck things up for you. And also never forget that if you're going to do a quilt, it's always best where possible, if you're going to make a quilt. If you haven't already pre-washed your fabric, it's always best to wash it after it's done. So if I end up like using tons and tons and tons of moisturizer and stuff, I don't have to worry about it. It'll all wash off. This is okay. One of the problems that I'm dealing with right now. Once this gets beyond a certain size, then and I already mentioned this, but the stuff that's over here and the cutting mat starts literally adding to the drag of the fabric, making it more pain in the ass to push through. So it's not the end of my world, but it's really interesting how small little things. So if you're using a table with a cutting mat and stuff like that on it, if you can take your cutting mat off while you're at this stage, what I'm going to do is now that I've reached this stage, what I'm going to do is I'm going to finish doing my strips and then clean this whole table off and then add them. That way I have that way the table is done properly. Do. La la la, la la la, la la la. Almost done. This is why I say get in the habit of dragging everything back towards you, because you just push it, get it away from the needle, pull it all the way back. You got to bring it back to this end to sew it anyway. But this particular, down in the lap it goes. Get it started. Get it in the machine, and off I go. Yeah, I gotta look it up. Last time I checked, the the video that I was doing to get started, only one, I said, put a comment below if you want to win this guy. We were chatting about how to do quilt as you go, and I made this, which has got lighten the fuck up on one side and fuck off, sorry, I mean good morning on the other side. And it's just a little cute bag. It's just you know, just a little cute bag. This is up for giveaway. And I get it. Let's start with the disclaimer. I get it. There's a bunch of people that are like, oh my God, that is so cute. And they can't have it in their house. If I had grandkids or little kids that were around my house on a regular basis, this stuff would not, I don't know what I would be doing. Would like one of your bags and so cute. Yeah. So if anybody, which video was it? Let me just take a quick second. Put my roll of Kleenex over there. Let me just double check which video it was. I'm just gonna do a thing. Come on. This is the one that says starting my quilt. And I've only got one person, it's me, Tammy, who said that they would be interested in winning that bag. Only one person has signed up to potentially win that bag. So we can, if it does not work for anybody else, I'm just going to contact Tammy and let her know that the bag is hers. And I get it. I mean, I'm not feeling any sort of a thing. Oh, let me just link it though. Some of you guys are watching it. I didn't talk about it until like, I didn't say anything till about, God, near the end. But so far, Tammy's the only one who has said she would love to win the bag. And I totally understand because, you know, back when my kids were little, I'd be like, oh my God, that's fucking awesome. Too bad I can't have it in my house. So if Tammy's the only one who's in a position to actually have the bag, I'm absolutely okay with just sending it to her. Man, I'm just saying her name over and over and over again. Poor girl. Anyway. I don't know if that's something that I don't know. Yeah, I thought I saw. I'm only. That's all I'm saying. I'm just wondering because I checked in the back end. And there's no missing comments. Let's see. Yeah, nothing. Unless, oh my God, what happened to fuck that up? No, that won't be it. I don't know. But it's over on that video. Just leave a comment. I can hold off for a couple of days. We're not in a hurry. I thought maybe I thought maybe I would do unless, and like I said, I absolutely no feels are hurt over here on my end because I get it. Like if I had grandkids, I'd be like, if I had grandkids, I'd probably still make my blanket, but I'd make it. I'd be much different. You know, it wouldn't be the fabric wouldn't be just sitting out in the open the way it is, right? Because we don't have any little kids in the picture. Our kids are in their early 30s now. Neither one of them have plans to have kids. Something else that can happen with this fabric is that as it bundles up on this, and as it bundles up on this side, especially if it's heavier because it's got batting and stuff in it, I'll go check in a second. Because it's got batting in it and stuff like that, things can, like, it can actually hang up at this side so that it doesn't want to push forward, even though it's fine from this side. The weight as it builds up makes it so that it doesn't want to go through. You need more hand strength to push through. I think it's just getting heavy on this end, to be honest. I think that's all it is. You don't have to backstitch. You do not have to backstitch reinforcing, blah, blah, blah. You don't have to do a backstitch at these intersections. I prefer to. It's not required. It's just I started doing it that way from the beginning, and I just feel like, for me personally, it's a good habit, because I don't want, if those corners, if for any reason these corners pop open, they're like so many layers of fabric that it'd be a bitch to sew through and fix. So then again, as long as the machine goes through it, I don't have to care. Anyway, let me go see if it showed up. Come on. Do. If it didn't show up, then we're going to have to do something. So we'll just, come on, where is it? Oh, no. Yep, it's there now. There, I hearted it, so I know that I've seen it. Okay, it's there now. So yeah, if fabric with this kind of swearing on it in your house doesn't work, no hard feelings. Absolutely, everything's fine. But I just thought I'd like shout it out that nothing's showing up. I didn't hear about it, but I feel like I shouldn't try because I won last time. You can try. Like, there's only what? When you're entering a contest and there's only 3 people in the contest, you have a 30% chance of being somebody who's won before. No, I'm not okay. I'm not concerned, or I'm not concerned, or I wouldn't be calling it out. I would just contact Tammy and say, hey, nobody else entered. You got it. Like, whatever. But I'm just pointing it out because I know a few people had said that would be so cool. And it's always awesome. It's always, and like I said, I always say this all the time. I don't know you shit. You don't know me shit. It's like, so yeah, it's like something can be awesome and just not be suitable for your home. That makes sense. So I really don't see a lot of people trying to win it anyway. Ugh. Batting is very dusty. Puts a lot of dust in the air. So if you do have allergies of any kind, a fan helps a lot. Take a decongestant. Okay. When you look at the package on decongestant, it says take 1 or 2. Just take 1. But yeah, if you have a little issue with allergies or just irritation or whatever, keep it in mind. But there are flannelette. That's the stuff that baby diapers are made of, by the way. So you just want diaper flannel. If you ever decide that you want to do this, but you don't want to spend the money on batting, diaper flannel, 1 or 2 layers of diaper flannel. Diaper flannel is awesome because you don't have to top stitch at all with diaper flannel. That's less dusty. It's dusty initially, but it's less dusty, and you can pre-wash it and get rid of a lot of the dust that way. Get rid of that. Come on. I always say old t-shirts and stuff like that because I've never done one like that, but I've heard so many awesomely good things because quilting can get very expensive while sewing can get very expensive very quickly because fabric can be very expensive. So, one place I used to get fabric at a decent price. But you have to kind of educate yourself a little bit. Once I got comfortable, recognizing what was new fabric and what was not new fabric, I found that a lot of thrift stores in places like Value Village isn't as good, but a lot of thrift stores, especially if the staff is a little older, are very good. They sort out. People donate fabric. That's the punchline. People donate fabric. And a lot of thrift stores are really good about sorting out what's new and what's not new, so that you can just go in. What the heck? Oh, I didn't leave it down. Let me just backstitch 700 times over that. But thrift stores and places like that can be a really great place to find new fabric, brand new fabric. Your choices are limited, but if you're only using it as like the backing for something, if you're only using it as the lining for something, if you're using it as that, like, okay, like say you're making your tarot bag, right? Yeah, fuck is one of my favorite words. No, absolutely enter. Go ahead and I dropped the link a little ways up there to get you onto the correct video. Just go drop your link. I mean, just go click the link, go enter. There's not gonna I mean, like I said, I know not everybody is in a position to have something like that in their life. So if it increases your odds, that's fine. So one thing that you have to watch out for, this does not have to be 100% folded exactly in half. If it's a little less than half or a little bit more than halfway, that's fine too. By the way, if you are a walking foot, can be amazing for this section. A walking foot is great. Okay, so row 3 has now been added. Row 3 has been added. Now I've got. So yet again, lift your foot, get it out, drag the whole thing backwards. It's just a lot. Now I've got row 3. Also, I can show you guys this, because this part is already done, and I can do it now. Once you're done, you're going to have to come. And so these are the outsides right now, right? Once you're done, you're going to have to go all the way around the outside and get your, and finish it. So I'm going to finish the top. I'm going to finish the top right now because there's nothing else is being added at this end. This area here is already done. So I'm going to finish the top so you guys, it is literally the exact same thing. Fold it again. And if you have like this here, you can see it here. That's the fabric. It was really close to an edge, right? And I didn't want to waste the fabric, so I just let the edge stay in there. Because I already know that when I fold this, see the white there. I already know that when I fold this in half. Oh my God, I got my glove caught on the needle up there. In half. I'm folding it for the camera, so I'm being awkward. In half, and in half again, that disappears. Okay. Diaper flannel doesn't really. Don't forget, your flannel is going on the this is going on the inside, right? So diaper flannel diaper flannel is perfect. One layer of diaper flannel is perfect for a nice light summer quilt. You're still going to have the texture. You're still going to have whatever texture is on this fabric. So that's the thing, but it's not as thick as this. But if you really need to, you can do 2 layers of it. So you can get your thickness. So this is really simple. Fold it. It's the exact. We're doing the exact same thing, only we're just doing 1 layer. Fold it again. We're gonna see how close we can get in here. Probably not very close at all. So far. Oh, look at that shitty lighting. All right. I cannot wait. There we go. That's okay for the moment. So we're going to fold it again. Now, don't forget, you cannot just fold it. You cannot just fold it because all that fray at the edge will eventually pull itself loose. So you have to give it at least a bit of, even if you're not going to do it properly, fully, you can just fold it a tiny bit and then give it a wider edge, or you can fold it all the way down, give it a narrower edge. It's entirely up to you. Fold it again, get her started. Backstitch. Get a few stitches in. Like I said, if it's really bad, trim off some of this stuff. But if it's not really bad, just leave it. Actually, I'm gonna try and get down to I'm gonna go down to here. Okay. There's one important part I want to make sure you guys see. Too much. Okay, so we're down here. We're right here. We're right here at this corner here, right? I hope I can fold it back in without making a mess. See how? Let me see if I can get this in here. See how this is kind of pulling itself. It's just pulling itself apart a little bit right at the very corner there, right? That's why you want to backstitch all of these when you're making them at first, because now you've got to take this and you've got to fold it down. I always go further ahead, fold it down, because it loves to drop itself back into place anyway. It's fabric is strangely cooperative when it comes to that. So this section here where the fold is, where the glare is, this section here where the fold is, this section here where the fold is, where the two pieces met, that is where it's going to kind of pull. That is where it just kind of tries to pull itself apart a little bit, right? So if you haven't backstitched, the stitches can pull apart all the way back down past this section here. This area here, as you get to where that line is, where the two meet, I really, really strongly recommend backstitching right there. The edges are where you're going to have the most. The edges are going to see the most. They're going to move around the most. These are pretty stable and solid and don't get messed with much once it's done. The edges, on the other hand, you're always, you don't grab it by the middle. You grab it by the edges while you're making the bed, doing whatever. So when you're coming down and doing your binding, this is what you're doing instead of binding. So when you're coming down and doing your binding, wherever two pieces meet, that's where you do want to reinforce it, because like I said, you pick up your blanket like this. You don't always pick it up from the center, right? So you do want to try to remember. It's not the end of your world, but I have had a couple of times had to come back on blankets after the fact and resew that area, just because things have shifted. Not the whole thing, just those corners, just not those little T areas where these are meeting. Anyway, let me get this done. So yeah, this part here is the exciting part. It's actually not. I only added one more row. I'm doing the top. I'm binding the top just so people to see how it's done. But that's it for binding the top. You're just folding it over and continuing on. But yeah, it's Now, the really cool thing is that some people do. I don't know. Okay, you know what? Is this even still a thing? It used to be a thing where people would basically do something like this, about this wide, just the 3 rows, and put it across the backs of their couches and stuff. Just like a couch cover, like a big couch doily, you know. I don't know if that's still a thing that people do a lot of, but if that is something that is still popular in your area, you could do one of these and just do it narrow like this and have it as a couch cover for the back of your couch and not have to commit to an entire blanket. But yeah. Anyway, so what else is new and exciting? This is. I mean, I'm not. Oh, it's already after 4. I guess maybe I am going. I don't know. I just mentioned, Gail. I don't know if you missed it. I just mentioned that for the little mini bag that we made the other day, we've only got. When I mentioned it, we only had a couple. We only had one person who actually said they wanted it, which I get because not every. Hi, Moira. Oh, you were already here, weren't you? I don't know. I don't know who's where anymore. Anyway, I get that not everybody can have fabric like this in their house based on other people in the house, kids, grandkids, whatever. So I totally get that not everybody can enter for the tote, for the little mini tote, but the mini tote, I'm probably going to draw for that. I'm not drawing for it today, but I'll probably draw for it. I suppose I could. Yeah, here, gone, back. Yeah, that's fine. So the little mini tote, for good reason, doesn't have a whole ton of interest. Again, there it is again. Little mini tote. That's the one I made on the last video that I did when I was just getting started with this thing. Not a lot of interest for the mini tote. So if you are interested, and don't forget, you can. I mean, I'm not concerned. It's like, oh well, I can't use this, but I know somebody who can. Go for it. Go for it. Anyway, I'm probably gonna. I might do the. I might do the draw on Friday. Friday might be a good day to do the draw. Give us something to do while we're waiting people to file in to talk about dinosaurs. But yeah, I will definitely enter for that. We will fight for it in our house. So make sure. Is the links? Do I still have the link? Copy and paste is a really cool function. Basically, just leave a comment of any kind on the first video that I did. That's the link for it. Just leave a comment of any kind. That's the one where I said starting my swearing quilt. Just leave a comment of any kind on that video so that I know where to go. But yeah, so this is what it's gonna look like. This is what it's gonna look like. Right, finished edge. Let's go over here. Finished edge. Da 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 da, and then of course it's gonna keep going. But there's what it is right now. So yeah, just pick your design one strip at a time. You go when you're sewing things together, straight lines are what works. So just keep that in mind. Line yourself up so that you're taking one section at a time, doing your straight lines, and you're good to go. You're good to go. I'm going to put this away. I'm going to get my next stack of 7. I can't go much bigger though. I don't know if you guys, well, you guys can't really see it from your angle, but like I can't really go much bigger because everything is in the way, which is fine. Which is absolutely fine. Be right back. My dogs have been sleeping this whole time. Oh, thanks. I thought I was going to be like I got down so many rabbit holes, and there was a bunch of stuff I was trying to find that I wasn't finding. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So this is, yeah, 7 wide, 8 long. I'm going to finish my strips. Like I said, I'm going to finish my strips, because then I'm going to take everything off this table so that I have more space to work with. And then I'll be finishing it after that. But that's it. That's basically, okay, basically, if I were to have continued with the binding all the way around, I'd have a finished project, right? That's the entire process. And you can use this. Let me just go get 2 blankets. Okay. So you just imagine, look behind my shoulder. Now imagine that just continues on for a full-size blanket, right? And then we've got, well, hello, crows. And we've got, hi, Bruno. Then we've got Lisa's blanket. Does this make more sense to everybody now? That's Lisa's blanket. 9 pieces. So I did the exact same thing. This is 3 along the top, right? Now for the bottom, okay, you do your strip, right? So I did a strip. This was a strip, that one, then the center, then the end. So I put on one, flipped it, put on the other one. Everything lines up first. Then when it was done, I just had to go, when it was done, this whole section stayed on the table while I added that strip. So I didn't have a shit ton of bulk in the machine. And then when it was done, I flipped the whole work over, lined everything up properly to make sure it was all pointed the way I wanted it to do, and then attached that one. And again, now all that is on the table while this is the only thing in the machine. Exact same technique. I used the exact same technique to do this. This was 9 pieces. The Bridget's cross that I did, no, the Bridget's cross I did was a proper quilt. That was not quilt. That was quilt as you go. I'll have to double check now. But the Bridget's cross one, Bridget's cross was not quilt as you go. That was a proper quilt. Now I'll be right back. What was that? I got shit flying everywhere. Hi, Bruno. Yeah, you can lay on my blanket for me now, okay? Now this one, and I've shown this before. This one here, exact same technique. Blank, yeah, but this is the exact same technique. Now this is, I don't know if I can hold it up high enough. That one. That's my dragon quilt, okay? Now that you guys have just spent, let me just get this out of the way so I don't want to screw up this one. So let's get that out of the way for a second. Now that you guys have watched the process, this one here was the exact same technique. It was the exact same technique. So what I did, I've got, so you can see this, you can see it here. This is a big 20-inch square, okay? It's just all random. These are 2 rows here, okay? And then another big 20-inch square. So I will, it wasn't, yeah, I did this in the window with the windows open. Don't forget. I'm doing this one. Yeah. Oh, yeah. This was cool. So, but don't forget, I'm doing this one. Okay, I've got 3 behind me that are done, right? Then I'm going to add the next one. There's only going to be a 9-inch strip going into the machine. And then I'm going to get the next strip. There's only going to be a 9-inch strip going in the machine. Now, so making sure that this area in front of me is clear so that I can put all my shit up and get it out of the way. That was important. But what was going into the machine, I could have done this quilt. I did Lisa's quilt. Oh, Who remembers seeing, do you ever make a quilt without sashing on the front? Sashing. Oh, you mean the edging? Yeah, I don't do binding. I do this. I do self-binding. I don't think I've done a single quilt yet that actually uses binding. I do them all without it. This does the same job. This is the backing folded around to the front. And I do it one piece at a time. Every piece is in its own little frame, but this is the exact same technique. I'll show you exactly how I did this. Yeah, you guys could sleep on that for a while. Okay, let me just hey Bruno, double check that. Okay. I'm gonna lay this out behind me a little bit for reference. I'm gonna show you guys. We're gonna go over this. I'm gonna show you guys exactly how I did this. I just hope I can erase this. Okay. Come on. God, I feel like. Okay, so my dragon quilt. My dragon quilt is probably one of the most complicated quilts I've made so far. Sometimes I want to be side. Yeah. I've done proper quilting like that. When you're doing that kind of quilting, obviously, then you have to go after the. So when you have a different long strip of fabric that you sew all the way around the sides, it can be fiddly. Yeah, I don't. You can. Okay. When you're doing a quilt, you have your quilt, right? And then you have your backing. So you can do your entire quilt top, whatever way you're going to do the quilt top, and you can add your sashing around the back, or just take whatever fabric take whatever your backing fabric is, and do the exact same technique and fold it to the front. So let me see if I can do this from here. Can I do it from here? I bet you I can. Okay. So my dragon quilt was pieced together like this. I made 2 sections. I'm going to lay this outside. What Bruno did. I put it on him and he's like, okay. I'm going to lay it out so I can refer to it. Okay. Let's do this thing. Let's do this thing. Let's get this all the way down there. Let's get this up there like that. Okay. So my dragon quilt was this, then this. Big piece in the center. Big piece there. Big piece there. Okay. Oh yeah, he's adorable. Oh my God, he's even cuter now. Come on, where are you? Just this little itty bitty. It is both. It's Peggy's pegboard. Okay, so I prepped everything in advance. This is, how many pieces was that? 1, 1, 2, 3. Okay. This is Peggy's pegboard. So basically, my entire dragon quilt is this with a piece in the center. Those corners are random. So that's the quilt. That's the quilt. I've got, that's kind of the end result. So what we're looking at right here is what I did here was I took every single piece. This is 3 pieces. That was a piece, that was a piece, that was a piece, that was a piece. You saw how I did my strips, right? So I measured everything. I started with the center. How big is my center? So let's say that this is 30 by 40. So, nope, let's make this 42. 2? Is that right? 42 divided by 3. What's 42 divided by 3? 312. So I divided the length by 3 and made each one of these. I did them individually, and I made strips of 3 on that side and that side. Then I took my 30 and made that 15, and made 4. Is this making sense, or am I just getting weird? So basically, this one here, each corner is just a kaleidoscope. I just made this big random block. I made 4 of them, 1 for each corner. Then I took this and I used the measurements of the center panel. I made my center panel first, okay? Because it's obviously got to match in size. So I made my center panel first and got that all quilted up and got all my quilting on it, okay? Then what I did from there was my center panel is 42 high. What's 42, 3, 1, 14 inches? Yeah, 14 inches. So then I get this done. This is 30 inches wide. How wide do I want my quilt? I did my math and went, okay, this section here has to be 30 inches wide. This section here has to be whatever. This section here has to be 3 14-inch pieces. Please, somebody tell me I'm making sense. So what I did is I made each section separately, okay? Yeah. Okay, for starters, the really cool thing about Quilt As You Go, about this whole entire technique, there is no account. You do not account for seam allowances, okay? Because what you're doing is you're taking each individual piece and it just butts right up against the next one. Because you're not sewing these together. You're taking this piece here, you're taking this piece here, and you're bringing the backing up and sewing that together. It doesn't, so you do not have to worry about seam allowance ever when you're doing this. All you have to do is worry about making sure that you're using a big enough piece of whatever your backing is going to be. It's got to be big enough so that when you get it all done, you can still have whatever your preferred width is to bring it to the front. Okay. So I broke this up into sections. For starters, you cannot sew crooked lines. I cannot sew this to this. I cannot sew this and then go up here and sew this and then go back down here and sew this. You can't do it. You have to do straight lines, right? So then you go, okay, you have to do straight lines, and you do not want so much shit piling up in your sewing machine that you can't deal with it. So I did this first. This was the first thing I did. I did this first, and then I decided how big I wanted my quilt to be. I did this first. Once I had this done, it's like, okay, 30 inches. I want this to be, so say I want this to be 60 inches wide, okay? This finished at 30 inches wide. So 30 leaves me 15 on this side, 15 on this side. I'm not sure what my actual measurements are. I'm just making shit up to keep the math set, to make the math right. So now you've got 30. You want this to be centered. You want this to be 60 inches. 60 minus 30 is 30. 30 divided by 2, left side, right side is 15. So then that's 7.5 inches wide. That's 7.5 inches wide. But what I did, okay, it doesn't matter. This is all the math part. This is all the math part that we can pick a relatively complicated whatever to do later that I can do on camera, and that'll be fine. So what I did here, and then 42, so that's got to be 14 by 14 by 14 to be 42 inches tall, okay? So I can either do a 15 by 42 inch piece and have a big piece, or I can add extra stuff and make it fun. So what I did from there, so I start with that. I set that aside, okay? Then I looked at this section here. So I broke it up into 9 pieces, okay? So this section I did first, and I connected everything together, and now I've got one piece, and it's still not such a giant piece that I can't handle it. But you cannot put one piece in here and then put this big giant piece up here. You can't do that. So I did this piece. I can't remember the exact order, but what I did was, I think I did these separately. So I started with the center, and I went and did this side. Then I did this side, and now I have a big center strip. Set it aside. It's done. Then for this, it's like, okay, so now I've got two 15-inch by whatever height I decided I wanted, right? I did that one. I did that one first, then that one first. Then I attached them to each other. This one here was done separately. Then I attached them. Then I attached them. Now I've just got I think these were actually 20 by 20. Let's go 15 by 20, right? Then I attach them. So it's just it's literally geometry at this point. So I should have kept the first one out. So let me do this in order, okay? That stuff smells funny. Let me do this. I'm not going to do measurements because I don't think you're going to need measurements to get the idea of what I did here. Okay. So I started with my centerpiece, and I got it all ready and quilted just like I was going to do. Okay. Then I added the next row, and then I made a row of 3 and added it. Then I made a row of 3 and added it. So I did the row of 3 separately. Then I added it. Then I did a row of 3 and added it. Then I did a row of 3 and added it. Okay. Center part's done. Center part's completely done. We've got our little dragon here with his little wings. We've got him there. This centerpiece is done. Then I did this piece here and this piece here because that was whatever. And I connected them together. Then I did my big square on this side and added it. Then I did my big square on this side and added it. Then I put them together. Then I did this here and this here. I duplicated, right? And I added it. Then I added this one here at this end, added it. Then I did this one here at this one, added it. And then my blanket was done. So that's how you do it. Basically, you make sure everything's done in straight lines, and you put it together in such a way that you're not manhandling giant, huge piles of fabric all at the same time. But it was that easy. So my widest piece, here's my sewing machine, right? This is my sewing machine. When I'm working with this piece here, and I'm adding this. And I think I did these together. Doesn't matter. I'm working with this piece here. You guys just saw me doing this. This piece is over here the entire time that this piece is in there getting sewn. The bigger piece never gets stuffed into the machine. So you can do that entire quilt back there. You can make that entire quilt on the cheapest sewing machine you can get your hands on. Lisa's Hello Kitty quilt, which is a king size quilt. What was it? 100 by 100 inches. It was fucking huge. I did that on a Singer Simple. I did that on a little tiny sewing machine. So for the one I'm doing now, I'm making a strip. Whatever, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And then I'm adding. And then I'm adding. And then I'm adding. And I'm adding, I'm paying attention to my direction so that as I'm adding, the big, huge bulk never gets put in the machine. That is why I'm in love with this. That is why I'm 100% in love with this technique. I hope it makes sense, but it is really, I love this technique. I absolutely love this technique. And like for this one here, all that stuff coming forward from the back, because I got really lucky with a really good color match. So it doesn't even really distract. It doesn't even look like anything. But yeah, so that's how you do it. You basically you plant. So for Lisa's quilt, I did the center, and then I added that, And then I added that because this is the biggest, thickest piece, right? You want your biggest, ideally, you want your biggest, thickest piece to be done first so that you're not adding stuff in. And then I did 1 piece, 2 piece, 3 piece, connected these together up here, connected these together, 1 piece, 1 piece, 1 piece, connect, put them together, flip the whole work, obviously, and then put that in there. And it was done. 9 pieces. Super, super simple. The biggest problem that I had with Lisa's quilt was never about finding time to do the quilt. It was because I had hurt my shoulder, and it took a really long time between hurting my shoulder, being busy with shit, and just regular other shit getting in the way. And then there was entire periods of time where we were forgetting, you just forget. It was like, oh, what do I need to get to work on today? Oh, I'm going to get this done. And it's like, oh, what about that quilt? Oh shit, I forgot. Too late now. Anyway, that's, but the really cool part about the whole thing, is that this connects with this, right? This connects with this, but this is already the correct size. I do not have, because I am not sewing this to this. So I do not need a seam allowance because this is being connected. It'll be properly connected like this. So by sewing down here, I am connecting them to each other without the need to sew them together. When you sew 2 things together, that's when you need a seam allowance. There's no seam allowance here. There's none required. So you do not have to, as long as the only thing that you have to commit to is being okay with every piece being bordered. And it's not like, look at that. Look at what's up there right now. That's not a bad effect. That's not a bad effect. And this one down here, every single piece here has got a border on it, every single piece. But because it's such a good color match, you don't even really notice it. Bruno is like just in heaven right now. He is super, super, super in heaven. Look at him. Shayla's underneath the table. Shayla's like, I'm just going to go under the table and snore now. By the way, for those erasable marker things, for dry erase, a bit of batting works wonders. Okay. I got to keep these in the correct order. So that is the first one. So yeah, so that's it. That's the whole technique in a nutshell. Oh, there it is. There it is. But no, in this technique, like I used the exact technique to make this. I made this with the exact same technique. I just did something different with it once I got my base pieces made. You know, it's like, okay, so I hooked 2 of these together. I already did it. We hooked 2 of these together. Then we finished the whole thing. Then I just folded it, sewed it down each side, boxed the bottoms, and have an instant bag. And because it's got batting in it, it's actually a little bit insulated. Well, it's not a properly insulated bag, but it's insulated enough, right? So that's it. That is the thing that I'm super excited about. And if you embrace the rustico, then you can actually get these done fairly quickly. It's actually fairly quick to do. For this one here, can I borrow my? Oh, I gotta get my chair off my blanket. What is that? It's shiny. I don't know. It disappeared. There we go. I gotta steal my blanket. Can I have my blanket for a minute? I see something down there, but it's shiny. There it is. I have no idea. Oh, I think it's a tip of a needle. Every now and again, a needle breaks, and you can't figure out where it was. But this one here, poor Bruno, I just took it away. Like this one here, I took all my scrap when I was left over. when it was done, and I just made a rando block. But yeah, it's all, the colors are so well matched. Poor baby. Yeah, he is totally offended. I'll give it back. But like, there's the edging right there. And some of the pieces that I put in the front match the edging. So it makes it, it's there, it's edged. The colors are a lot darker. Not a lot, but the colors are noticeably darker here. But yeah, you don't even notice it if you're not looking for it. Are you still mad at me, buddy? There you go. There you go. I'm sorry. I needed to borrow it. Are you okay? Now he's just looking at me. Look at him. He's just looking at me like, you took it. I mean, are you going to let me keep it, or are you going to take it away again? It's okay. This is our days here. Yeah, it blends. I'm going to do the draw on Friday. I'll do the draw on Friday. We're usually just kind of hanging out for the first few minutes of whatever chat we're doing, giving people a chance to like wander on in, waiting for people and whatnot. So we'll do it on Friday. Get that over with right away. And then we'll go for there. But yeah, and that one there, I tried a little harder on because I wanted to see how well I could do the blending and stuff like that. So yeah, so that's it. That is the, yeah. See you Friday, Linda. That is the whole thing. That should go on top. That goes on top. That goes on the bottom. That way I can keep track and not have to think about. I don't want to have to overthink the stuff, but yeah. I have been super in love with this technique for a very, very, very long time. And you know what? If you put together one, and it's the self-binding. The self-binding is what makes it work. I also love self-binding for doing tarot mats, which is just honestly a tarot mat. Make it rectangular, it's a placemat. Make it smaller, it's a mug rug. Make it bigger, it's a quilt. So anyway. I'm going to be seeing Lisa soon. She's probably on her way or not. I don't know. Mondays can be weird for her. But anyway, it was great to hang out with you guys. I'm glad I got the chance to show you the stuff I wanted to show you. This really is easy. This really is really easy. If a huge quilt project seems like way too much, start with a tote bag. Start with a tote bag there. This is one directional. This has stuff that goes this way, and this way, but it's all red. Nothing's upside down. Anyway, I think, oh yeah, I'm on my last, I am on my last spool of thread. Because don't forget, the thing about this project is that any quilting that if you do a quilt as you go quilt, all your quilting is done first. So generally speaking, you start off going, oh my God, I'm really going through the thread, because you're doing all of your needlework up front, which is a great way to practice, by the way, because you're doing it in small pieces instead of trying to do an entire blanket all at once. But yeah, you're doing all of your quilt work up front. So if you are committing to doing some swirlies and some fancy quilt work, don't freak out by how fast you're going through your thread, because what you usually do is you piece your stuff together, then you go through all your thread. You're doing that part. That part is going to be opposite for you. So that part, because I'm doing that right now. I'm like, I'm down to one. I've only got one spool of thread left, and it's probably more than enough. I'm already almost halfway done. I probably need to go buy one more just to be on the safe side. Plus, I use this. This is one of the same threads I already used in my shop. So anyway, I'm going to get going in a minute. What's going on? I think I'm just ready for a break because this is not lining up. And I know I'm doing it right. You know the whole measure twice, cut once thing? That's kind of where we are right now. If something's not quite going where you want it, don't be afraid to do it again. Don't forget until you it's just like any other thing. Until you actually start making irreversible changes or cuts or whatever, you've got all the time in the world to double and triple check your work. and make sure you're happy with it. Yeah, the thing I love about this technique is that you are only limited by how much fabric you're willing to stuff into the throat of the machine. Really, like I said, this entire project, I will never have more than that under the machine. So it gives you a chance to concentrate on what you're doing instead of worrying about how, because when you've got a lot of fabric in the machine, you can end up with something being all bunched up here and then you sew right over it. Don't ask me how I know that, but yeah, I'm gonna get going. I have stuff to finish. Don't forget that if you do want a chance at the if you want a chance at that little bag, then the thing, I closed the one window by mistake is what I did. I have no idea what I just did. I'm still here though, but anyway, I'm gonna get going. If you want a chance at that, I'm gonna leave the text one. I'm gonna leave the link one last time for anybody who's bumping around in here. Go back to that one. If you want to win it, go ahead and put your name in. I'll do the draw on Friday, and then we'll go from there. I'm just gonna do little bits of paper and names and a hat or whatever. Keep it simple. And wow, I am just clicking all the wrong buttons now. Okay, I'm out of here, guys. See you on Friday. Have a great day. Bye.